The Kansans I represent are still suffering under Bidenflation, and tax policy lays an important foundation for helping economic growth for everyday Americans. Families and small businesses have suffered for more than 2 years under the failings in this economic policies of the Biden administration. Inflation's up 5.5% since Joe Biden took office in January of 2021, much higher than any of his predecessors over the same period of time. And instead of addressing this issue, the president in his budget proposed $4.7 trillion in tax increases at a time when Kansans are already paying 14 cents out of every dollar they earn in direct federal taxes, not including the taxes they have to pay through the purchases of businesses that ultimately pay taxes from the income from Kansans. This is opposite of incentivizing economic growth if we want to increase that amount. I mean, I do have a couple of ideas about tax policy that the president could put in place to make that important, and I want to talk about that a little bit. But one of the things I want to at least touch on that was brought up earlier, and talking about the difference between in theory versus in practice. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that was passed in 2017. Obviously, is sort of like an investment that you might make in a business, is that you change the tax code to make sure that you incentivize the behavior you want. And as a result, we've seen the economy take off and grow. So the first few years, you may have lower tax revenue, as mentioned by my friend, the ranking member, for the first 3 years that went into place. The tax revenue was down over prior years. But the last 2 years, we've turned the corner. That investment from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act raised over $200 billion more than the CBO estimated in 2021, and in 2022 raised over $900 billion in actual tax receipts, more than what the CBO had estimated. So obviously, we're seeing some positive results out of that by making sure the economy keeps going. So I mentioned there's a couple bills that the president could consider to help get the economy going. One's a bipartisan bill, the American Innovation and R&D Competitiveness Act, that restores immediate expensing for research and development cost. This legislation was part of the larger tax cut and economic growth package that we passed through Ways and Means last week, the Build It in America Act, and has already been reported out of committee. It's a promising start. It'll change our tax code to help generate innovation and foster job growth, so that we don't cede any more ground to our adversaries. Just as a point of reference, our main competitor, China, has seen its R&D investments increase 400% in just 2 decades. While the United States' share of global R&D investment in 2019 was 30%, China's was 24%.
Greetings, friends. Progress is being made, and a recession may be avoided this year. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has also announced that there is a much lower risk of a recession in the United States. Economists are also predicting that many Americans will receive financial relief in monthly housing payments very soon. My dearest friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video to hear about all of the new details. I will be announcing more winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you'd like to enter these weekly giveaway, friends, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen sees diminishing risks for the U.S. to fall into a recession and suggested that a slowdown in consumer spending may be the price to pay for finishing the campaign to contain inflation. On the chance of a recession, Secretary Yellen said, "The odds have gone down because look at the resilience of the labor market and inflation is coming down." But she also added that there is still some risk, as the Federal Reserve is still tightening policy and has been doing so since March 2022, with potentially more rate hikes to come. Janet Yellen's latest assessment of the U.S. economy follows a May employment report that showed job gains beating all economists' forecasts. Home construction and retail sales for last month have also shown surprising resilience in the face of the Fed's aggressive monetary tightening. Last week, Consumer Price Index release showed that the core inflation rate for May rose 5.3% from 12 months earlier. Experts have noted that last year's surge in housing costs was to blame for some of that increase. The headline CPI rate was 4% for the month of May. That is well down from the peak of 9.1% reached in June last year. As for a debate among some economists about whether the Fed ought to raise its inflation target from the 2% rate that was adopted during a time of weak growth and investment, Janet Yellen indicated that such a discussion is not appropriate at a time when policymakers are battling to contain a price surge. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has rejected the idea of adjusting their 2% target for inflation. Powell said the labor market is still tight, though there are signs that conditions are loosening, such as an increase in labor force participation in the prime 25 to 54 age group and some moderating in wages. However, he noted that the number of open jobs still far exceeds the available labor pool. Powell later said that the Fed has adjusted its approach to the policy after implementing rate hikes at the most aggressive pace since the early 1980s. Included in that run was a streak of 4 consecutive 0.75 percentage point increases. It is a pace that Powell says does not seem appropriate right now. However, he also noted that getting inflation lower will require slowing down the economy to below trend growth. He also emphasized that rate decisions will be made based on incoming data and meeting by meeting, rather than a preset course. Mortgage rates ticked lower for the third week in a row, as investors absorbed strong signals from the housing industry and last week's pause on rate hikes by the Federal Reserve after 10 consecutive hikes. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate averaged 6.67% in the week ending June 22nd. That is down from 6.69% just the week before. A separate report from the National Association of Realtors showed that the housing inventory is about half of pre-crisis levels. Earlier this week, the Census Bureau reported that home building surged in May, rising 21.7% from April. The rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage has been volatile amid lacking economic indicators and the Fed's recent decisions on new rates. But the good news for new construction and inflation are helping to bring interest rates down. Meanwhile, last week, the Fed opted not to raise its key lending rate, choosing to wait for additional data and see how recent rate increases are influencing price growth and the real economy in an effort to cool inflation to a 2% level. The Fed does not set interest rates that borrowers pay on mortgages directly, but its actions influences them. Mortgage rates tend to track the yield on 10-year U.S. Treasuries, which move based on a combination of anticipation about the Fed's actions, as well as investors' reactions. When Treasury yields go up, so do mortgage rates. When they go down, mortgage rates tend to follow. Well, my beautiful and awesome friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video. My dearest friends, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you'd like to enter these weekly giveaways, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. My dearest friends, the more videos that you watch and then comment on, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. Thank you and have a wonderful and very blessed Thursday.